BYOU Golf Club.
Life is yours to spend. Spend it making more money. Spend it making more memories. Spend it learning a new skill. Spend it teaching an old trick. Spend it career climbing. Spend it mountain climbing. First United Bank. Spend life wisely.
Hey guys, TJ here for my friends over at Joe's Wines and Spirits. The holidays are close, and we're all looking to save a little money. And what's the best way to save money on your wine, liquor, or beer? Do what I do. Go to Joe's Wines and Spirits. They've got the best selection in town and the best prices. Joe's is open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Sundays from noon to 5. Their experts can help you find the perfect drink for you and your holiday party or that perfect gift. Go see them today, 1330 East Alameda, right here in Norman.
Give hell the bird with Mallard Construction and Roofing. Mallard Construction and Roofing is your full-service residential roofing and restoration company. Family owned and operated, Mallard wants to make a difference in every aspect of the process from bidding to completion of the job. As 2023 Reader's Choice Awards Best Roofer, we have all the tools necessary to make your job successful. Give hell the bird today and call Mallard Construction and Roofing at 405-364-4501 for your free quote.
Also, schedule a roof inspection today with Mallard and enter their Jeep giveaway contest.
The Ref Radio Sports Network is powered statewide by the insurance adjusters at Brown O'Haver. Fire, wind, theft, or tornado, we can help. Call 405-735-5510. Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings Studios, it's time to get locked in to the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Tyler McComas and Parker Thune.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000. Text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Tyler McComas and Parker Thune.
Well, no game to talk about this upcoming Saturday, unless you guys already want to do a deep dive into the Alabama game. I did have to laugh when I sat down here. Most days when I sit down, the text line is already up. Therefore, before the show even starts, I'm already laughing about one text that's already come through. JD in Tulsa. What kind of plays will Joe John be drawn up to feature Bauer Sharp against Alabama?
By the way, Tyler, I don't know about you, but I've been on quite the roll today. Apparently,
What happened?
There was a texter that informed me that my takes have been so on point that Thune is the #1 trending topic on Twitter.
Oh yeah, you almost got me. You almost got me.
He was
I'm
looking
like,
at me
whoa,
like,
whoa,
wait,
whoa, really?
what?
No way. That good? Yeah, it's that other Thune. The most famous Thune is, which is, by the way, impressive. I mean, that's a big deal. Congratulations to him and to your family.
Thank you.
For that to be trending on Twitter, that's some big-time news right there. You got free Chick-fil-A today?
I did,
As
man.
did I. I mean.
I did. And thankfully,
what a day.
I'll tell you the best news of today. Well, best news is the news concerning my uncle, which is great for us and our family. Second best news is that we got our fridge delivered to my new house this morning, and I was worried because I had to leave around 11:15 to be able to get here in time to do some show prep and jump on air. And I was tracking it throughout the morning, and they said it's going to be 8:30 to 9:30, somewhere in that range. And then it was 9:30 to 10:30. And then it was, 10:30 to 11:15. And then it was 11:15 to 12:15. I'm like, are we?
So it was like a recruiting.
Yeah,
it was a recruiting ceremony, is what it was.
Yeah,
that's what
I'm
it
like,
was. All right, I'm ready. Let's go. 45 minutes later. Where's the announcement, Taylor Tatum? Come on.
Thankfully, they rolled in a couple minutes after 11 and had just enough time to install everything and test everything and get out of my house before I had to get back on the road. We made it.
Well, congratulations on a fantastic day. Maybe Julian Lewis will officially flip to Colorado by the end of the day or something.
Boy, wouldn't that be the cap?
I mean,
that would be the cherry on top.
Though it sounds like he's taking a visit to Georgia here soon, which is
I
quite
mean,
interesting.
he can flip to Georgia. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Whatever. Hey, Georgia,
Indiana,
Colorado, Indiana, whatever. But well, maybe this season will just drive you into politics. Maybe this season has been so difficult on you, then you'll just be like, forget this madness. I'm going to go to something less stressful. I'm going to go into politics
No,
instead.
there's absolutely nothing more stressful than politics. I'm sorry. That would be the last recourse for me.
Cherokee Sooner, in all caps, by the way, which Cherokee Sooner doesn't text a lot in all caps, so very serious. Please ask your uncle to abolish the NCAA. Hopefully that was kind of what he ran on. That's
isn't that what the Department of Government Efficiency is going to do? The Doge, Elon Musk going to do away with the NCAA. You're inefficient. You're history.
Yeah, thanks for that slap on the wrist to Muleshoe, NCAA, but he really played that one down like it wasn't a big deal. I mean, there's some storylines going on with the 2025 class, and I mean, I guess we can talk about the Alabama game and what's going on, but come on, like the two biggest kind of talking points with the football program right now is, one, will Brent Venables be back? Two, who is the offensive coordinator going to be? Okay, so before I ask this question about Brent, what would you say, based on the text line, is the split right now of – because there's no in-between, I feel like. It's either it would be the dumbest thing ever to fire Brent Venables. Why would you fire Brent Venables? The buyout money that you have to pay, you got to pay for a roster this offseason. It makes no damn sense to fire Brent Venables. And then the other side is, we suck, it's terrible, they're god-awful. What has he done to deserve another year? He needs to be gone today. Would you say it's 80% want to keep Brent Venables? Closer to 50%? What's our range here on November 13th?
Based on what I've seen on the text line and elsewhere, I would say it's probably 60-40 in favor of keeping Venables.
Okay, so, and this question goes out to, like, whatever side you're on. Because I'm sure most people are predicting that OU will go 5-7. They'll lose to Alabama a week from Saturday. They'll lose at LSU, and, well, maybe OU's got a decision on their hands with 5-7. Really, and here's why I want to start with the conversation. Though it may not seem likely to a lot of people, can we all agree, or do we all think, that if Brent wins one of these final two, if he gets to 6-6, that he's absolutely 100% safe? Do we think that on both sides? If he wins one of the next two, they go to a bowl game, beat Bama or LSU, either one, that's clearly their best win of the year. Like, is 6-6 enough for 100% to save them?
Yeah, you're not firing Brent Venables if he manages to beat Alabama and or LSU and get to a bowl game.
Now, again, I'm not predicting that to happen. I'm just throwing out the question, text line.
It's a conversation if and only if the Sooners lose their next two football games, which, let's be honest, is probably going to happen.
Sure.
But that's why you play the games, right? We would have said last month that Vanderbilt was probably going to lose to Alabama, and look what happened. So,
yeah, my feel is that if they figure out a way to win one more and get to bowl eligibility, not that his seat will be any cooler, right, with this win. I think his seat will still be incredibly hot going into 2025. But if they were to win one of the final two, and if they go 5-7, my guess right now is that he is back. The offensive coordinator hire is made. 2025 is a massive year for him. My guess right now is that he's back in 2025, but I think in 2025, if they just had 6 wins, he's back, but he's still on an incredibly hot seat. Chris in Tulsa says Brent is only fired if we lose both games by 40 points. If they go 5-7 and the last 2 games are close, then he's safe. 1 win and he's easily safe. And I would tend to agree with that. You get absolutely embarrassed the final 2 games, then I think that we're already having the conversation. Clearly, that's how we're starting off the show today. But the conversation becomes more and more real if they were to get blown out in the final 2. If they're very competitive and it's a 5-7, then seat's hot, boy. But I think he's back.
And then you have texts like this one from Big John in Texas. You guys are morons thinking Venables gets fired.
I didn't say he's getting fired, Big John, just the opposite. Is Big John talking to us or talking to the other people that think he's going to get fired?
I don't know. Maybe he's texting the wrong station like someone did yesterday.
Yeah. OU isn't rolling out a quarterback like Diego Pavia, says Mike S.
Really?
Yeah.
What if Brendan Zerbrug is the next Diego Pavia?
Oh, the state of Alabama better be scared then, because you get to play both teams in the state of Alabama next year. Run through the state of Alabama like Pavia did.
What if, Diego Pavia is suing the NCAA right now. What if he gets an extra year of eligibility?
Oh, my gosh, let's go.
And he is a Sooner next year.
Over under 6.5 F-bombs dropped on post-game press conferences next year.
Oh, that's an easy
Taking the over?
all day.
Which means good for the overall win total next
What if
year.
that's your
the
portal
case.
quarterback? Your portal quarterback is Diego Pavia.
Oh, man. We'll get to as many texts as we can today. We're all over the place on the text line. So many are rolling in as always. And, hey, by the way, if we don't say it enough, thank you. You guys show up every single day. You're always interacting, always asking questions, always with funny content. Thank you for being here every single day. Sooner Warrior says, Michael Fasusi update? Well, I mean, the update, and this is a good thing. I don't really think that there is much of an update to this point.
Homie is chilling.
He's still scheduled to visit Norman for the Alabama game.
Yep.
There's no other visits on the books right now. A&M looks like they are going to flip Lamont Rogers. There is no update, and I think that that's really what you hope for over the course of the next month.
No news is good news, and there is no news right now on Michael Fasusi. There are rumors, there are opinions. There is no news. And Michael Fasusi isn't just going to flip out of the blue, right? If he flips anywhere, a visit will precede it. So until he visits another school, I don't think you have much to worry about.
The Waffler says, what do you guys not understand? He is not getting fired this year. Even if he loses the next 2 games, they came out today and said he's the guy. They're not going to pull a mule shoe and just fire him this year. Now, come on, fellas, get some new content. Content.
A rare definitive take from the Waffler, who is generally waffling. But no, I still think it's a conversation. Like it's a conversation everywhere, not just here. And
the AD and the university president were asked about him yesterday.
Correct.
I mean, it's a huge story.
And here's the thing. What else is the AD or the university president going to say when posed with that question? Yeah, well, to be honest, our confidence is starting to wane a little bit. We're beginning to have discussions about his buyout. No, obviously they're not going to say that. You put a microphone in front of them, they're going to say exactly what they said.
Also, they said he's the guy. They're not going to pull a mule shoe and just fire him this year. What does that mean? What does that part of the text mean? They're not going to pull a mule shoe and fire him this year.
I say one thing, do another, I guess.
Mule shoes, yeah, I guess that's what that means. I don't know. I guess that's what that has to mean. Okay, the defense is stacked with young talent, says a texter from the 580. That is accurate. And that's another thing moving forward. I think if you can just get the offense figured out, I know that's a big if. We've been saying it all year long. It's not an easy fix, but, we brought this up yesterday on The Rush, is if you look at this team just kind of, up and down, what's happened so far throughout the first 10 games, would we not say that the special teams unit is really, significantly is a fair word to use, but they're definitely improved from last year? I mean, your field goal kicking situation is dramatically better.
Dramatically.
Your punting situation is really good.
Now you just got to catch a punt.
Got to catch a punt. I mean, they're not much of a factor right now on kickoff returns, but all in all, special teams has been, I would say, pretty solid this year. Defense, we know, is good. Defense is really good. So 2 of your 3 facets of the game are pretty good with this team. God, I mean, they got a long ways to go offensively is what it feels like.
If and when I run for office of any kind, my slogan will be make kick return great again. Move the kickoff back to the 30-yard line. Do away with all the – and thankfully it hasn't infiltrated college football, but the NFL kickoff is just obscenely weird these days. Just do kickoffs like we've always done kickoffs. Do them from the 30-yard line. Give the returners a chance to return it.
I agree. Though I was getting a little tired of kickoff returns when they showed it like 10 freaking times on Saturday. Did you notice that? How many times at Missouri they kept showing the let's run it back to the 2010 game. Number 1 Oklahoma against Missouri.
And old John McGaffey, whose name is spelled G-A-H-N.
I know, that was annoying too.
Gahan McGaffey.
But did you notice how many times they kept showing that game? And at one point, and the game was frustrating me quite a bit. At one point I just kind of yelled out, how many times are they going to show this? Sam Franklin's dad, and I think it was Sam Franklin's brother, were sitting right next to us, and he just turned around and he said, bro, what else do they got? And I said, fair point. Very, very fair point there. That's exactly. They got nothing else. I guess they have this game now that next time we go up there, they're going to show over and over. It's so annoying. Chonky Chuck, I'm a fan of I'm a fan of one more year, though watching us play football is the equivalent of having a bowl of hot chili in the summer when you're running a fever. Would you say that that's a good comparison there?
I've never done that.
I haven't either. That's why I asked you.
I can't imagine that's a very pleasurable experience. So, I mean, watching OU football right now isn't a very pleasurable experience, so there's definitely some similarities there.
Suitor Jet says, with the huge improvement Brent has brought to our defense, I can't fathom getting rid of him before having a chance to make a home run hire at OC. And turning this ship around, he has earned that chance.
And here's what the counter-argument to that will be. And I'm not saying this is the argument I'm making, but this is an argument that I have heard presented so many times. If Oklahoma's going to struggle, I would at least rather watch them play exciting football while they struggle. There are those that have texted or called and told me in person, and numerous people at this point, like, man, if it was going to be this bad, I wish it was at least in the style of 2017.
Yeah.
I wish OU was at least scoring points. I wish these losses were entertaining. Offensive football, for the typical fan, is much more engaging, much more entertaining than the defensive slugfests that Oklahoma has had a tendency to get mired in this year.
405, is Timmy Trumpet the new Mizzou fight songs? How many times do they play that? Every third down they played it. God.
I'm making that my new ringtone.
Every single third down they played that. I'm like, okay. That's what you guys are going with. Sweet. Trying to be the New York Mets or something, I guess. Not real sure. 405-651-3439. Keep it coming on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Ole Miss flips a big-time wide receiver. Remember when we talked about Caleb Cunningham?
I do.
5-star receiver. I don't know if he's still a 5-star. Maybe he's a 4-star now. Big-time receiver out of the state of Mississippi. He committed to Bama. Ole Miss gets a flip out of that one. He can be a hometown hero, is what Caleb Cunningham said. The what do they call it? The Grove Collective out there.
Yes,
doing quite well. Quite
sounds
well.
like it. Because absent money, obviously not everybody thinks like me. But if I were a 5-star wide receiver, I wouldn't be flipping from Alabama to Ole Miss with what Ryan Williams is doing right now at Bama. But if you're getting paid, more power to you. Get that bag, son.
Yep. Congrats to OU Women's Hoops today, this afternoon. They scored 122 points, a program record. OU 122, Western Carolina 56 today at the Lloyd Noble Center. 122 points for OU women's basketball today. Nice.
And Reagan Beers went for, 27 and 9, I think?
She is so good, man. She is so good. That was a heck of a gets in the transfer portal for OU women's
And
hoops.
in this day and age, it helps to have a name like that when you're good.
Yeah, Beers.
That's just.
Hope they sell Beers jerseys at the LNC.
It's just a tragedy we were deprived of the Booty and Beers podcast when General
really
Booty hit the portal.
Really was. 405-651-3439, Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Marcus Wimberly, he got an interesting tweet that's out there, interesting comments as well. Let's talk about the OC hunt, what that looks like, and a whole lot more. Keep it locked on the Ref.
Hey, Sooner fans. This is Jalen Moore, and you're listening to The Ref, the home of the Sooner fans.
Are you looking for that gift for the biggest OU or golf fan in your life? The Pro Shop at Jimmy Austin OU Golf Club is your place to go this holiday season, with brands such as Lululemon, Red & West, Travis Matthews, Peter Millar, Johnny O, and so much more. Maybe you need a hat or a belt or a polo or a sweatshirt. You can find it all at the Jimmy Austin OU Golf Club. And it's not just for men. They have apparel for youth and women. So when you want the best OU apparel you can't find anywhere else, the place to go is the Jimmy Austin OU Golf Club.
Ready for some pickleball fun? Join us at the Y-Fac for pickleball every Tuesday from 8 to 11 a.m. and Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. Grab your friends and hit the courts for a lively morning or evening game. If water fitness is your pleasure, Aquazuma classes are every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Go online at yfac.com to learn more about day passes and memberships. Do you know of a deserving community member that might be in need? Norman Air is giving back to the community by providing a brand new HVAC system fully installed. If you know someone facing financial challenges and in need of a new HVAC system, they would love to hear from you. Visit normanair.com, click on the HVAC giveaway, and nominate them today. Hurry, the deadline is November 15th. Norman Air wants to help, so nominate a deserving family today for the Norman Air HVAC giveaway.
Nominees must be a homeowner located in the OKC Metro with an existing HVAC system.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
A heads up before something bad happens.
You should not send that text.
Uh-oh. Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can reverse prediabetes and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Mike Steele here. If you or someone you love been diagnosed with cataracts, well, congrats are in order. Why? Because it's not about just seeing clearly again, it's about a life change. And my man, Dr. B, is here to transform your vision. You could go anywhere for cataract surgery, but why settle? With Dr. B, you've got the chance to not just remove the cataracts, but also to say goodbye to those glasses for good. Give Dr. B a call at 405-755-7700 or visit alcok.com today. Experience the difference with Dr. B and see the world like never before.
Once upon a time, our family had trouble with pests around our home. Did you know that stinging insects send tons of people to the hospital? And teeny ticks and mosquitoes can be all around the yard. Their bites can make people and their pets sick. Mice, rats, and roaches need food and water just like us. You do not want them to visit. They can spread disease and make it hard to breathe. I'm sure glad this story has a happy ending.
Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association.
My son Ian was diagnosed with a brain tumor at the age of 16 months. We had no hope until St. Jude rescued us. He's alive because of what St. Jude has done. He's here because of the doctors who came before, their blood, their sweat, their tears, the knowledge accumulated and shared, with everyone else around the world. This is how we help kids beat cancer all over.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
In the age of internet and all things fast-moving, it's hard to find people you can trust. When it comes to your home or business electrical systems, don't settle for anything but the best. Wade Electric has been serving Oklahoma since 1969 and will gladly address your electrical needs with diligence and professionalism. They specialize in service upgrades, exterior and accent lighting, power automation and controls, shop and outbuilding wiring, LED conversions, and more. Go with a name you can trust and call Wade Electric today at 405-329-1940.
Locked in with McComas and Thune, live on the ref for the Homeless Sooner fans. Tyler McComas, Parker Thune, Ref Army, listening worldwide via the free KREF app. Just search KREF in the App Store. Kent, Washington is tuned in today. Cleveland, Tennessee. Tucson, Arizona. Birmingham, Alabama. Galveston, Texas. New Haven, Connecticut. Lindsay, Oklahoma, all tuned in today via the free KREF app and our Ref Army locator. Brought to you by Horns Down Apple Pie, which is made in OKC, and 10% of all sales are donated to OU Baseball NIL, which is really cool as well. DrinkHornsDown.com. That is DrinkHornsDown.com. And one of their company founders attended OU and watched games from the berm back in the mid-'90s. So one of the OG OU baseball fans out there sitting out on the berm. Okay, so as we kind of get to the upcoming OC hire, Dan Mullen continues to be a hot name, continues to be a controversial name on the text line. I, for one, am all about the hire of Dan Mullen for reasons that I've listed multiple times throughout the past couple of weeks. But I do want to ask this about Dan Mullen. Do we know for sure? Like, how do we know for 100% certainty, and maybe he's put out feelers himself, maybe when he was on campus last offseason, he made it known, like, hey, I'm interested in getting back into coaching. But do we know for sure that Dan Mullen wants to be an offensive coordinator next year? Or are we just speculating that?
I have it on pretty good authority that Mullen wants to get back into coaching. Now, for a guy like him, there's really two ways that you can do that, right? You can do it as a head coach, or you can do it as an OC. And at this point, it's more likely that Mullen would do that as an OC than a head coach, because what head coaching opportunities are there going to be for a guy like him that hasn't been in the game in 3 years? So I would say Mullen's path back into coaching probably comes by way of an OC gig.
Yeah.
And given his background and familiarity with Brent Venables, the OU opening makes a lot of sense. Obviously, there's been some buzz there. There's a reason you hear Dan Mullen's name continue to get thrown around for the vacancy.
I did put out on our Twitter page, at KREF Sports, if you're not following this there already. Well, I mean, what are you doing? Come on. OU fans, how would you feel if Washington State OC Ben Arbuckle is your offensive coordinator in 2025? I'll read some responses here. Does he run the pro style, says Sooner Kowetzel. What's his style, says Mick Struber. Bosch says, yes, young guy with the developing beer guts. I can tell by the looks he's going to be a champ.
Developing beer gut. That's your criteria.
Very important. Daniel Crawford says, yeah, their DC worked out so well for us. Jeff Hayes says, wouldn't be my first choice, but I admit that I don't know near as much as the guy making the decision. So not a whole lot of overwhelming yeses from the fan base when it comes to Ben Arbuckle. Because I'm going to guess, Parker, that not a ton of fans know, really what Ben Arbuckle is about, who he is, where he's come from, all that. I believe he's 29 years old.
29 years old. Yep. Definitely the youngest guy that's seriously in consideration.
He was coaching high school in the state of Texas in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And he got his break and got a job in college football. But, yeah, just 4 years ago, he's coaching high school football. He's on the fast track.
Yep, got the OC job at Western Kentucky. Obviously, that's a program that has had some really prolific offenses. Think about the Bailey Zappi days. I mean, Bailey Zappi was what kind of helped, or who kind of helped Ben Arbuckle write his ticket, if you will. And then the next stop for him was Washington State, where he and John Mateer are having a lot of success up there.
Yeah, a lot of people want, if he would be the hire, to bring Mateer along with him.
Understandable.
That's been made very clear on the text line and on the Twitter comments as well. Alex from Dallas says, with how the landscape has unfolded in the SEC, does an 8-4/9-3 season allow coaches to keep their jobs? It seems like escaping with 2 losses a season is going to be incredibly difficult to do moving forward. Everyone is vulnerable. Does 8-4 and 9-3 seasons allow coaches to keep their jobs? I guess that depends on what program you're at.
Yeah, it depends on a lot of things at that point, because all 8-4, 9-3 seasons are not created equal.
There's 100%.
It depends on expectations.
Especially in the SEC with the unbalanced schedules, man.
It depends on the eye test. It certainly depends on strength of schedule, strength of record, all that type of thing, and just the general trajectory of the program. 8-4 off a season where you went 11-1, for instance, is viewed as a disappointment. If Oklahoma went 8-4 next year,
that was my next question.
Yeah, it's not a smashing success, Tyler, but you're like, okay, they're better. They're better than they were.
What's the most important game for Brent next year? It's got to be the Texas game, right? I think it's always the Texas game, but seeing how this year unfolded, I would say that, if 8-4, and we'll have these conversations all off season long, if an 8-4 is enough to save him, you may need a Texas win in there as well. You can't have another embarrassing loss to Texas next season.
Somebody asked, could Beedenbow do it? There's a vote for Bill Beedenbow as offensive coordinator.
Wow, I did not foresee that with some of the things that have been said about old Bill. But Bill is on the board, getting a submission. Very nice. Chris Tate says, how important is finding an OC with SEC experience? I think it should be a factor on who we hire. Currently, Charlie Weiss Jr. from Ole Miss is making $1.6 million a year. Would he come to OU for, let's say, $2 million a year? Ole Miss has the second best offense in college football. The problem is that Venables is on the hot seat, and we are currently 5-5. Do I think Charlie Weiss would leave Ole Miss to come to Oklahoma?
I do not.
I don't think so either, and it doesn't seem like Charlie Weiss Jr. is really on the radar at this point. Not to say that couldn't change, but I just don't feel like he's on the radar.
Well, and with good reason. I mean, if a guy's in a stable enough situation, this kind of goes back to the conversation we were having last hour about Will Stein. It's a different conversation entirely if Oregon doesn't have things rolling right now. Like if they're 8-2 and number 10 in the country, it's a very different vibe than if they are what they are right now, which is 10-0 and the number 1 team in the country. And if OU was even 6-4, 7-3, as opposed to 5-5, maybe you have a better shot at a guy like Will Stein. But right now, it feels like a long shot.
Yeah, especially when you don't have your quarterback situation figured out either. Because, again, I think that's a big guess as to who your starter for the 2025 season opener is going to be. No Brent on the SEC teleconference today. Steely's out sick today, so I was all ready to get it recorded for us to have, all ready to go. Got to hear 3 minutes from Billy Napier right before Brent Venables, and then it was relayed to us that no Brent today. He had a conflict. So I hope everything's all right there. Hope everything's okay with Brent missing the SEC teleconference. Hope that's the case. I haven't heard otherwise, but it's like,
maybe he's interviewing for another job.
You think he's interviewing as the Bears offensive coordinator right now?
No, it was made very clear that this is a legitimate conflict that Brent just couldn't get around and not akin to Muleshoe's personal day.
But there's just a lot of questions that we still haven't heard from Brent on. There's kind of a lot of unanswered questions since he didn't have the Rudy show on Monday, since he didn't have the press conference yesterday, and now that he doesn't have the teleconference today. Like, to me, I'd love to know where they're at in terms of what the thinking is of who's going to be the starting quarterback against Alabama. I'd love to hear his comments on what Joe C. and Joe Harris said yesterday. I would love to know, is the plan still to redshirt Xavier Robinson after he looked like a stud last Saturday in Columbia, Missouri? There's a lot of questions we don't have the answers to right now, and I guess we may not hear about those potentially until next Monday. But I am really interested, and I don't know how many days off they got this week during the bye week, but what their thinking is right now on who the starting quarterback is going to be in the Alabama game. I'm guessing it's going to be Casey Thompson. I think that's got to be a real thought.
Really? My guess is Jackson Arnold.
Oh, boy, that ain't going to go over well.
What's really going to suck, too, is that the very first mistake Arnold makes, if he throws a pick or he fumbles the ball, those boos are going to fly.
Saying, man, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad if that's the case. Brad says hopefully he's out recruiting his ass off.
Postal Sooner says Brent was seen at San Mateo High School. San Mateo High School. Where is that?
I've got no clue. No clue. OU Optimist says not going to talk until next Tuesday. Well, he'd have that Rudy show on Monday.
He is supposed to be available tonight, actually.
Oh, okay. Very nice.
There's post-practice media availabilities, and we're supposed to get time with BV.
Cherokee Sooner says Brent is returning the black Escalade he rented to drive by Muleshoe's house. If that's how we'd like to spend the bye week, then by all means.
Chonky Chuck says X-Rob's performance and Tyler's angelic rendition of that idiotic narco song has redeemed the Missouri game for me.
It hasn't redeemed it for me.
If nothing else, we have that. The game has been redeemed for Chonky Chuck.
I'm not going to get over that one for a while. San Mateo's in California, says OU Optimist, by the way. Also, Big Rich in OKC. We're getting a lot of all caps text today. The emotions are high today. Big Rich in OKC says, if X doesn't play, that sucks. He is arguably our best back. He was your best back on Saturday.
Okay, let's not be prisoners of the moment.
Now, I still think Javonte Barnes is your best back, though.
Yeah, X looked good, and X gave you something when nothing else was working. Props to him for that. But how quickly we forget that Javonte Barnes ran for 203 yards the last time he was on the field.
Yeah, against Mighty Maine. Come on. Did you forget about that game all of a sudden?
Okay, tell me this, Tyler. Do you want to see Xavier Robinson against Alabama?
I do, personally.
Okay.
So
you're okay with him losing the year of eligibility?
Well, and here's something that we have to remember, too, is clearly I want him to play and not redshirt. You can redshirt any time in your career.
That is true.
Now, I would guess that Xavier Robinson finishes out this year, and then he's probably a big factor in the offense throughout the remainder of his career at Oklahoma. I don't know. It's a really tough situation. I get it. It's unfortunate. But if your intentions are to put your best foot forward to try and beat Alabama and LSU, I think Xavier Robinson gives you a better chance to win if he's out there, right? And for a head coach whose job is on the line at this point, can you afford to say, nah, we won't play him in the final 2 games?
Yeah. It is interesting that Brent Venables said literally 1 week ago in his press conference, yeah, we're planning on redshirting Xavier Robinson. We can afford to do that. And now it's like, well, no, you can't.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't
can't.
It wouldn't be the first time that he said something, and in less than a week, he's done the opposite. So, I mean, that happened at one point this year. It's like, yeah, we haven't really made a whole lot of changes or really any changes during the middle of the season. And then, well, that upcoming Sunday, a change was made.
By the way, Cam said, Ben Arbuckle is from Canadian Texas, where Austin English is from. My Texas ranch is close to Canadian, the prettiest part of the Texas Panhandle. I didn't know there was a prettiest part of the Texas Panhandle.
I haven't seen it.
But might have to make the trek out to Canadian, do a little feature writing if Ben Arbuckle gets the gig.
Big Rich at OKC says, you try to win. That's where I'm at. 817 says, I love Robinson. Please don't burn a year of eligibility on 2 somewhat meaningless games. Are we saying the Alabama and LSU games are meaningless games? I know what they mean by that. I'm guessing they're saying, we're going to get blown out anyway. Why burn a guy's red shirt? Well, you think that might happen. I mean, they're going to be underdogs. But
what if?
What if, man?
What if you're in that game and you lose a close one, and then everybody after the game is asking based on how it all went down, man, why wouldn't the Sooners have just rolled with Xavier Robinson? He could have helped him win. Like, that's what you don't want. You don't want to withhold a guy that could help you win a football game at this point. The Waffler says, well, they blew Hawkins' red shirt against Maine. That was a joke. His red shirt was burned before Maine. His red shirt was burned when he started against South Carolina.
Yeah. Past My Prime says, my take is that the starting quarterback against Alabama is more than just a decision of who starts the game. Whoever they choose gets the nod as the future of the program, and the other hits the portal. I lean Hawkins. I think Arnold may hit the portal anyway. That is a very interesting take, and I don't think that it's wrong. Like, whoever the starting quarterback is against Bama or the final 2 games is more than just who starts that game, but maybe a decision or a nod as to who your future quarterback is. It's a tough situation right now on what you're going to do with the quarterbacks at the end of the year. Guessing that you're going to try to bring them both back, but that may ultimately be decided by the next OC.
A 405 listener says, when asked if they're going to start X, BV better say, let her rip. Well, not a Les Miles.
Yeah, but say last time that happened, though, especially on Owen Field, that individual got ripped 52-9. 2003. Got destroyed.
Oh, man. Joe in Tulsa is back on the Never Arbuckle. Hashtag Never Arbuckle crusade. Parker, Ben isn't getting the gig. Back to your Arbuckle comments compared to Zach Alley and age comparisons. Zach Alley was Brent's protege, and Brent still influences the defense and helps Alley. Arbuckle wouldn't have anyone helping him here to bounce issues off of. Brent isn't risking his career on a 29-year-old OC. Get this other guy off the air. Ridiculous comments. I don't know if he's talking about you or me. I don't know if you're that other guy or if I'm that other guy. But
I didn't.
One of us needs to get off the air.
I didn't have a. I guess I didn't have a strong take on Arbuckle. I just brought up the question there.
J-Dub Sooner said, we've ruined J.A., so why not ruin Hawkins, too, by starting him against Alabama?
The optimism. What a week. 405-651-3439. Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. We'll close up Locked In. Coming up next right here on The Ref.
Join the movement. The Ref Army is growing. Don't miss a second of the Sooner coverage you want with the KREF app, the #1 source for Sooner fans.
There are trucks, then there's the truck. GMC Sierra, with available features like the V8 engine, the ultimate luxury interior, and of course, the available world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. GMC Sierra, not just any truck, the truck. GMC's continued commitment to professional-grade engineering is on full display at your Oklahoma GMC dealers. Come take a test drive today and see for yourself. We are professional-grade GMC.
Once upon a time, our family had trouble with pests around our home. Did you know that stinging insects send tons of people to the hospital? And teeny ticks and mosquitoes can be all around the yard. Their bites can make people and their pets sick. Mice, rats, and roaches need food and water just like us. You do not want them to visit. They can spread disease and make it hard to breathe. I'm sure glad this story has a happy ending.
Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association.
Smokey the Bear.
Then you know why Smokey tells you when he sees you passing through. Remember, please be careful, it's the least that you can do.
What you desire, don't play with matches, don't play with fire.
After 80 years of learning his wildfire prevention tips, Smokey Bear lives within us all. Learn more at SmokeyBear.com, and remember,
only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for youth.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals into your body.
And nicotine, which can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media,
many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping.
Because when you talk, they hear you.
Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Hey, it's Chris Plank here for Gary and the entire crew over at Cavens Group. Cavens has been busy around the OKC area with a lot of water emergencies after the recent record rainfall. And you know what comes after the rain? Mold. If you think mold might be an issue, give the great people at Cavens a call, because mold can be harmful to you and your family or your staff at work. Call Cavens today, 405-573-3048, or visit them online at cavensgroup.com.
How do you give hope to a child in the foster care system? It starts with your heart. That tug you feel on yours when you hear that children are waiting for a stable, loving voice to speak up for their best interests. And then it becomes your time. What started out as a feeling that maybe you could make a difference becomes the difference. Change a child's story. There is a child waiting for a volunteer like you.
Contact South Central CASA at 405-360-5295. Schumacher Law Group, when experience matters. Tracy Schumacher is a former prosecutor and former district judge. Whether it's a probate challenge, criminal charges, or contentious divorce proceedings, experience matters. The attorneys at Schumacher Law Group provide compassionate, knowledgeable advice, all while fighting for your best interests. Find Schumacher Law Group online at lawgroupok.com or call 405-701-1882. Hometown lawyers ready to fight for you when experience matters. Hands are how we give. Hands are how we receive. To lend a hand and to hand it off. Hands are how we transform and how we redistribute. Our community needs a helping hand these days, and the United Way of Norman is there to offer it. From emergency services to vocational programs to grief counseling for the youth, the United Way connects your gift with the programs that will have the greatest impact on improving the lives of everyone in the community. Make your donation today and raise your hand for your community. Learn how you can give United at unitedwaynorman.org.
Dorsey Jones, Buick GMC in El Reno. Bringing this hour of Locked In with McComas and Thune. Dorsey Jones is family owned and operated, established in 2020. Many of their employees have been there for more than 20 years. They sell Buicks and GMCs, which are some of the best trucks and SUVs on the road. Dorsey Jones, Buick GMC in El Reno. I've had this down since Monday, but we've had so much other things to talk about, haven't gotten to it. It's not worth an entire segment, but this dropped on Friday, right after you and I finished Locked In. I guess a limited number of OVs that schools can host now.
How crazy is that?
That is going to be insane, dude.
There are no rules anymore.
I mean, there's really not.
All the rules are evaporating before our very eyes. And I hope it isn't that way permanently, because, man, that really imbalances the playing field between the haves and the have-nots in college football. And I understand that there's already a little bit of a caste system, and there are enough advantages baked in that maybe this doesn't make that much of a difference. But even so, man, you're going to have schools like Alabama and Texas and USC and Georgia that can afford to host, 100-plus official visitors in a given cycle. Like, man,
you got a five-star, you could pay for Enos family to go out to all 7 home games, right? Imagine that.
Well, and Is it unlimited official visit? Like, it's still the case that you can only take one official visit per school as a prospect, right?
I thought they passed a rule last year where you could take the prospect could take. Well, okay, well maybe they can just take one OV per school. That's it. They can take one OV per school, but they're not limited to 5 anymore.
Yes,
because that was the rule before this. Is like now the prospects can visit. No, it's not just the 5 OVs. They could have one OV at any school that they want. But the schools themselves were limited to how many OVs that they can host. Now, apparently, that's off the board. So, I mean, it could be wild, man. Wild, wild, wild. Unlimited OVs. Recruiting rules changing all the time. Marcus Wimberly sent out a tweet today on a story that you wrote. Marcus Wimberly, big-time player out of the state of Arkansas, OU commit in 2025. As always, thank you at Parker Thune for the write-up. Too many people think this is the end, but they're wrong. It's only the start of something super special. We're going to shock the world with this 25 class. Just be patient. The road to perfection is a process. Hashtag OUDNA. So it sounds like Marcus Wimberly is, what do you call me for, Parker? I'm good, man. I'm committed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Why you waste my time?
Yeah. And well, another thing he said, and I put it in the edit, he said, I think all the guys who are committed are going to stay committed. And obviously that's a very tight-knit group. They all talk amongst one another on a regular basis, and there hasn't been any indication given from any of those guys that they're waffling. You know, we've talked about the situation with Kamari Moore. Kamari Moore didn't really want to decommit from Oklahoma. Like, that's just, it was what he had to do, and not, like, with the exception of Floyd Boucard, I don't think there's been anybody this cycle, unless I'm just completely spacing on somebody, Tyler. There hasn't been somebody this cycle that has decommitted from Oklahoma and just blindsided the program. You know, you lost Jaden Nickens, but
that was
highly mutual. And for the most part, this class has remained intact. This class has stayed together, and they intend to stay together. Oklahoma only has to hold on for 3 more weeks until that December 4th signing day.
Yeah. Eric in the OC says we need to find a way to keep Fasusi and Fogier in the fold. Well,
and both of those guys have said repeatedly, Sooner for life.
Especially Fogier on social media.
Yes.
If anyone ever talks about him at all, he's basically like, hey, guys, I'm good. Don't worry about me.
Those again, if either of those guys want to go somewhere else, they have 3 weeks. They have a span of 3 weeks from now until early signing day to start taking visits and figuring out where home really is. But they haven't done that. They haven't even hinted that they're going to do that. Fasusi and Fogier are as locked in as it gets. Big Rich in OKC says Marcus Wimberly rocks. And yes, he does. He's an
good, man.
Outstanding dude. Future team captain. No doubt in my mind.
OU Optimist says, let's see if we can get some optimism from OU Optimist. If OU muffs a punt against Bama or gets a delay of game after a big play or calls a timeout and then punts or goes high tempo after a long Bama drive, will BV get a contract extension after the game?
That doesn't sound very optimistic, OU Optimist. Sheesh.
Oh, man. Okay, Porter's nemesis, sorry. Cortland Guillory. He's like yelling now with all caps. Has Cortland Guillory taken his OU official visit yet?
Yes, he has taken his OU official visit. In fact, it is the only official visit he has taken. It was back in June.
Porter's nemesis also wants to know, would OU beating Bama be a bigger upset than Vandy? At the time? So let's evaluate the upset at the time. I would say no. I don't think OU beating Alabama and Norman would be a bigger upset than Vandy beating Alabama. Because at the time, we didn't really know how improved Vanderbilt really was. What had they done up to that? What had they done up to that point? They had lost to Georgia State, I want to say. They had lost at Missouri, I think, a little bit before that. So you hadn't really, seen Vanderbilt as a much better team. At that point, it was like, oh my God, Vanderbilt beat Alabama. So if we're judging it by the time that it happens, I think Vandy beating Bama would be a bigger upset than OU beating Bama. And I think Alabama was a 22-point favorite in that game. I don't think OU will be that big of an underdog. I don't think.
OU over Bama would be a believable upset. Because, OU hasn't played very well in 2024, but the casual fan who hasn't stayed abreast of every single week of football that Oklahoma has played throughout the season like you and I and all of us on the text line have, they're going to see and they're going to say, oh, man, OU took down Bama. That's nice. And that'll be the end of it.
Yeah.
But when Vanderbilt beats Alabama, shockwaves across the country.
Yep. Fair point by Scuba Steve. Everyone on the team is a future team captain with the way that they do it now. That's a fair point by Scuba Steve.
Do you like the way that they do that?
I don't care, honestly.
Really?
I totally forget about it on game day. I guess do I have a preference of just having the same team captains every single game? I guess, yeah. But does it really bother me all that much? Not really. I'm going to guess you're not a huge fan of it.
I am not a huge fan of it. I don't like it. It feels gimmicky and superfluous to me.
What do you think about when they lock arms there in pregame warm-ups?
No, I like that. I like that.
We're getting some people after the Texas game talking about how much they hated that thing.
Why?
So,
Why is that worth hating? Because I see it, have 4 team captains, 16 captains, whatever it is. Just roll with those guys.
Dan says, and if we're going to try to throw a Band-Aid on this hemorrhaging football program and only hire a new OC, then quite literally any play caller who has a quarterback sneak in their playbook will immediately be an upgrade. This team has failed on 3rd and 4th and 1s more than any team in the history of football. It is insane that Brent couldn't see any of this blank as a potential problem heading into the SEC 3 years ago when gaining a yard decides most games. What happened, so I remember OU got I need to go back in my game notes here. It would have been the 3rd quarter, I think. Maybe OU gets a stop, and then they have – I think it was right after – I'll tell you what it was after. Remember when Peyton Bowen fielded the punt cleanly? And he got hits, and there was a flag on that play.
Yes.
I remember writing in my notes at that time, like, okay, make them pay. Go down and score here, man. Make them pay. And OU had a 4th down right around midfield, to Dan's point, 4th and 1, and they got stopped short.
And then what happened on Missouri's ensuing drive?
They scored a touchdown on that drive.
Touchdown.
Was that the Theo Weiss 3rd and goal from the 13? Oh, God, that one hurt. That was not good. Yeah, that one. I don't want to relive that game anymore. Can we not bring it up again, please?
Porter's Nemesis says, any situation where Spencer Brown could be a captain needs to be nuked and never used again.
Okay, you guys talked me into it. I hate the way that they do the captains now. You put it that way. Porter's Nemesis, I'm going to even give you another star for that one. Congratulations. Nice job.
2-star, huh?
2-star
Love
Porter's Nemesis now. Yeah, we're just giving out stars these days. Oh, boy. Yeah, we got a week from Saturday until we see Oklahoma play another football game. And, hey, I like some of you that are combating the defeatist mentality that why even play these freshmen and burn their red shirt? All we're going to do is get destroyed anyway. And we've had some text saying, like, they're not the freaking Kansas City Chiefs. Vanderbilt, although an improved Vanderbilt team, did beat these guys. I mean, there was a stretch of the season, and it looks like they figured it out, but there was a stretch of the season where Bama was not playing good football. They go to Vanderbilt and lose, trail the entire game. They barely beat South Carolina at home, probably should have lost that game, and then they lost to Tennessee. Again, it looks like they've got it going on right now, but Bama has looked very vulnerable at times. But still, it's going to be extremely difficult to win that football game coming up a week from Saturday. Gunny says Ginny B in the women's OU basketball squad looked good today. Dang right, Gunny. 122 points, program record. OU 122, Western Carolina 56. If you missed that score from earlier today. We talked about the OC hire. Yeah, go ahead.
I was about to say that is. Oh man, the deficit doesn't quite work out. I think the only other time OU has played Western Carolina in anything that I can recall was when they beat them in football, 76-0 in 2021. So Western Carolina has some real tragic trips to Norman, historically speaking.
As long as that check cashes, they may be okay with it. Also, another question that we probably won't get answered. I don't even know if Brent will answer it tonight. We don't have an availability report. Do you think we see Deion Burks again the rest of the year? Or do you think he's done?
After the shot he took, man, I guess what I would say is I hope he's done for his sake. Concussions are nothing to mess with. They are not something to screw around with. I hope Deion Burks doesn't play against Alabama or LSU because you need to be delicate with something like that for the players' own good, and if you want Deion Burks back next year, certainly for Oklahoma's good.
Yeah. And that's what's been extremely unfortunate too at wide receiver is not only have you been beat up there and not had your 4 or 5 best receivers available for most of the year, but Parker, how many times now has someone come back from a long injury and then got hurt the very next game that they're back? Nick Anderson against Tennessee, Deion Burks now against Missouri. It's like you're finally excited to get these guys back. All right, they're playing. Let's go. And then they get hurt, and it feels like they could be out for the remainder of the year. Certainly the case with Nick Anderson. It may be the case with Deion Burks.
And Jake Taylor, too, as well. Man, it's miserable, isn't it?
It's not been a fun year.
Not the most fun of times.
No, it's not. It is not. KW the 918 says, when is the last time we were given the national spotlight in any men's sports where we didn't get slaughtered? Even in basketball, the last few we've had there, we'd get destroyed. Can you think of any men's sports here recently where they've been in the national spotlight? And
I can.
Does OU men's gymnastics count as the national spotlight?
No, I mean, I was going to go back to last year's OU-Texas game.
There you go.
I mean, both of those teams were undefeated. There was a lot on the line. Even so, Texas was a heavy favorite. And on national television, in front of a national audience, OU went and got it done. And boy, that feels like the zenith of the Brent Venables era to this point, and it's really not even close. Like, there's nothing that compares to that.
Well, I brought it up on the postgame show. What would be second? The Kip 6 Auburn game?
Maybe so.
That's not some great win. Auburn's not some great team, but like we know what the best win of the Brent Venables era is. That's rather easy. What's the second best win of the Brent Venables era? Tulane this year?
SMU last year?
SMU last year, who almost made it to a New Year's Six game. I think instead played in the Wasabi Fenway Bowl and lost, by the way.
The Wasabi Fenway Bowl?
I think that's the sponsor of the Fenway Bowl. Yeah.
The Fenway Bowl is sponsored by Wasabi.
I believe so, yeah. You might double-check that, but I think that's accurate. All right, update on the 2025 rankings before we get out of here. And they are not loading right now via Rivals, but Oklahoma.
No update. OU's number 8. Oh, there. I'll give you the abbreviated
still in the top
version.
10. USC, probably going to be dropping pretty fast, though.
Yeah, they're going to
drop and tanking rather fast a few weeks out from signing day. All right, the Rush is coming up next. Keep it locked on the Ref.
Football. You love it. We love it. You live it. We live it. You need it. We got it. Nobody covers college football better. The Rush. Right here on the Ref Sports Radio Network. You're listening to the home of Sooner fans, KREF, Norman, Oklahoma, and streaming live on the